the dick loving cult. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and particularly to you, Jason. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Happy Thanksgiving week. You know, blessed are we in the week that we get to do 5 days of work in 2.5 days.
I was wondering where you were going to go with that. I was wondering how this was going to go down. I was going to say we're entering that time of the year where no work gets done. Everybody between today and January 1st is the maximum amount of days that people try to hide from work 100%. Let me take a week off at Christmas. Let me take 2 weeks off, or 2 weeks off at Christmas, a week off at Thanksgiving. We duck and dodge and dive all the responsibilities for the 2 to 3 weeks in between.
Now I know your deepest, darkest secrets.
Oh, it's not a secret. I make no secret about it. I make no secret about it. Like, you want something done? Woo! You better find a good time to get a hold of me.
Yeah. I'm super busy. Super.
Yeah. That's gonna suck for your December then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Monday Threat Briefs with Jason and I. Boy, do we got some stuff to talk about today. I think everybody knows what's top of my mind, Jason.
Yeah.
Really quick before we get started, let's hit just a couple of rules really fast, just to keep things, keep everybody in check just a little bit. We are streaming live across LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, and X. So thank you all for tuning into us on your respective platforms. You can join Jason and I here every single solitary Monday to get your weekly threat brief, where him and I sit down and digest the previous week's threat intelligence and kind of give you some things to talk about, think about, and look forward to for the next week. We do have a couple rules. Rule number one is no racist, sexist, misogynistic, elitist, otherwise toxic behavior in chat. We do have a zero tolerance policy for that. We do have moderators in chat to assist with that. So they are not here, however, to stifle chat whatsoever in any way, shape, or form. They're here to make sure that your questions get heard. I was in sub chat, Jason, on our Discord a couple nights ago, and I heard one of our community members said that, and they meant no offense to you and I didn't take any offense to you and I whatsoever, but they said that the thing that they enjoy the most about our streams, Jason, is the commentary that happens in chat as you and I are discussing things as well. And I think that's one of the
Nice.
I think that's one of the benefits that we have, is that we've encouraged the community to not just chat when you and I chat, but to chat amongst each other inside their respective channels about things. So I was really excited to hear that. It made me super happy, super glad for what it is we can bring.
This is the community. It's both video, it's both audio, and it's chat. You know, it's the whole thing. So glad you guys are enjoying it.
Absolutely. With that being said, do drop your questions at any point in time. Fix-It rated us. Thank you, Fix-It, for coming on over. It's good to see you. Hopefully the weather's doing good in your neck of the woods. With that being said, we do ask that you drop your questions at any point in time into chat. Our moderators will grab any of the questions, put them into a queue, and when appropriate, push them up onto screen for Jason and I to answer. Jason?
So I gotta know, like, what do you think about insider threat?
You weren't gonna let me lead this one off, were you? You were gonna hop right on into this.
Oh yeah. I mean, you know, we've talked about insider threat for a long time. I mean, do we really think that this is real? Is this real?
So I built I've built multiple insider threat ones, but one of the biggest ones that I built was with Abbott. And if we ever have Bobby on, like, this would be a great conversation for the three of us to engage now with Bobby on insider threat, seeing as how it's super relevant. But I can tell you that was one of those programs that we built, and I shit you not, as security people, we look around and we go like, what did we waste time building an insider threat program? Like how real are we going to be able to monitor for insider threats?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. This is the legit question.
It
That
is.
everybody wonders, like, if we're going to create this, is this ever going to get put to use?
Yeah, and we said that because Jason, share your experiences on this as well. But it's like it's hard to distinguish normal stupid user behavior versus insider threat. Now there are some extreme cases, and I'm sure you and I could talk about some extreme cases, but it's hard to distinguish user behavior from insider threat.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to sit somebody down, look them in the face, look them eyeball to eyeball, and try and figure out, were they doing the activity that you showcase to them legitimately? And do you believe it? Or do you feel that they have a behind the scenes motive going on that you need to figure out?
You know what's not questionable about insider threat? This is what I'll tell you is completely unquestionable about insider threat. When you take your cell phone and you record images from your internal systems and post them up on a hacker Telegram group, that's pretty obvious insider threat.
I feel like you're kind of warm under the collar about this. Who are you talking about here? Did you experience this real life scenario?
I don't know if you've slept under a rock since Friday, Jason, but apparently our favorite EDR provider, thou who shall not be named but loves to spend money on minority stakes of Mercedes F1 racing teams.
Yeah.
George Kurtz at CrowdStrike. Apparently had an absolutely I don't know. We can't tell the scale of it. But chat, just in case you were living under a rock since Thursday, and this is why you tune into us, is for Jason and I to give you the real about what to pay attention to. Apparently,
hopefully you find out underneath the rock.
Right. Somewhere between Thursday and Friday, right? A CrowdStrike employee was paid $25,000.
Not enough.
$25,000 to take internal information from CrowdStrike and give it over to the Lapsus Scattered Spider Mutation 3-group hacker group into a public Telegram channel. Several videos were grabbed, several screenshots were grabbed. They were dropped into the public Telegram channel for this particular hacker group. Obviously, CrowdStrike had been made aware of it. It's hard to know whether CrowdStrike had been made aware of it because they discovered it versus whether law enforcement told them or whatever the case is. But these images and pictures made their way onto a public forum. And allegedly, they were in the process of basically trying to get one of their SSH keys added to some servers so they could get access to internal CrowdStrike systems.
I don't think we will know the full scale, right? This is going to be all buttoned up underneath lawyers and NDAs, and we're going to know the topical stuff. But let me tell you, they're going to keep this as close to under wraps as they possibly can.
Oh, yeah.
But what is just crazy to me is what last year we had CrowdStrike cause, FAA, Delta, and all these outages, right? Then CrowdStrike has the cybersecurity problem against them, which, the whole GitHub and repos and the code against their own environment. And now this just to me seems like we are constantly thinking about the old adage, the old statement, which was about press, all press, good press, bad press. It ends up being good for the company. I mean, hey, maybe CrowdStrike's methodology here of being a super large cybersecurity company, publicly traded, is that they just want to be in the press.
Well,
good, bad, ugly, all of it.
When do you think that their cybersecurity? I'm looking at my trading view right now. When do you think that their cybersecurity press? I'm not gonna say problems. When do you think their cybersecurity press started? Was it December 22, kind of when it started?
Probably. Well, the crazy thing is after the Delta Airlines and the FAA problem last year, their stock went up.
I was gonna say, like, I'm looking at their chart, and their stock is up 38% in the last year. 38% in the last year, despite all these cyber incidents.
So this is the gist of it. Cybersecurity companies are rewarded for bad behavior.
I'll disagree with you here on this. And I'll say no company is punished because of their bad cybersecurity behavior.
Yeah.
No company is punished because of their bad cybersecurity behavior. Listen, I'm not gonna fault CrowdStrike explicitly for having a cyber incident. Every company will have a cyber incident.
Yeah.
There is a lack of accountability by the marketplace for the alleged leader in that space to be held fiscally accountable.
Yeah.
In the marketplace.
Yeah. So now what do you do? Like, I don't believe that they probably could change fast enough. Right now that this data is leaked, we don't know how much data. There's only a little bit that's been put into the public eye, but some of the things that I read this article thinking about it myself, you're putting in behavioral monitoring, access controls. You're maybe even like trying to do some employee training. Like, hey, if you see another employee or team member, with their camera out, taking pictures of their laptop, that's kind of suspicious. That's kind of like a not everyday normal thing.
Yeah.
But then how do you do it when like so many people are working remote?
Yeah. And this is why I say, like, I get back to like Insider Threat was always one of those programs where you built it and wondered if it would ever be useful. Because when is copying a GitHub repo an insider threat versus code discovery?
It's grounds for dismissal. It is grounds for dismissal. That's all I got to say. It's grounds for dismissal.
Right? But I mean, it's like, how do you know the difference? How do you know the difference between gross incompetence and somebody who wants to sell your secrets to an APT group?
Yeah. I think for me, I could be alone on this island, and I'm probably okay with that. But
this might be an island it's okay to be alone on. Where's Beardsec at? He's a king of knowing which islands are good to be alone on.
It's that if you are doing something that gross negligence, like you might be in the wrong career, because I believe in IT, cybersecurity, and we're going to talk about this today. But I believe in this career that we're all in. You really don't have room for gross negligence. You need to be pretty aware, pretty informed when you're making decisions, because your one step left or right in the wrong direction could cause the whole company a major problem. And, I'm not saying you need to know it all, but you need to at least be having a good level of common sense. Copying GitHub repos, pasting them into AI that are not paid subscription AIs. Like we talked about this months ago, using AI in a very respectable manner, and knowing, like, pasting it in there, you're taking some risk, especially if it's not a paid subscription.
I didn't want to make this exclusively about CrowdStrike, although that's a super easy thing for us to do. I wanted to talk about insider threat. So I did run some numbers that I do want to share just so that we can have a conversation about insider threat as whole. There was another huge insider threat case that happened this year earlier with Waste Management out of Houston, where another IT contractor had allegedly maintained their unauthorized access to the systems and ultimately ended up causing about $862,000 worth of damage to Waste Management. And I was able to find a statistic for all of 2025. And I did manage to find one survey. I'm looking for it right here. One survey that said that of 100, where is it? I know I had it here just a second ago. Yeah, over 100 security leaders were surveyed as part of the Pulse survey. Found that 56% of organizations experienced at least one insider incident a year, implying that there could be thousands of those happening globally. So it's almost half of everybody who is ever engaged experienced some form of insider threat incident. And so it begs the question: where is insider threat one of those? It rarely happens, but when it does, it's massive. Does it rarely happen and it could be massive or it could be pretty benign? Like, is it fair to say that like we've just become immune to insider threat and the only reason that it's a big deal now is because it's CrowdStrike? Or is insider threat the problem that we've just never taken seriously? It's always been there.
Gosh, that's a tough one. I feel like there's a little bit of both, right? I feel like a lot of places don't take it seriously because you look around at your team members and you're like, well, I inherently trust everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody looks like they have good intentions. And that's part of the problem is as humans, most of the time you want to trust the individuals that are sitting to your right and to your left. But you don't really truly know their motives. This is like the whole thing where, somebody comes in one day and, the police come and confiscate them and arrest them. And you come to find out that they were doing horrible things at home or, whatever the case may be. And you're like, wow, gosh, I never could have seen that coming. The same thing applies here in the cybersecurity realm. If you get offered some sort of lump sum of money that, is more than what you got now, and you're thinking, wow, that can help change my life. Let me just tell everybody, $25,000 is not life-changing.
So the only pushback I'll give to you is it depends. It can feel life-changing to certain people. I've seen some, and again, let's remind chat, this is not a political stream. We're not here to talk politics by stretch of the imagination. But there has been some feedback that perhaps, if there was an acceptable boundary of understanding of pay gap that existed between the employee that was offered this money and the rest of the organization, perhaps they would have been disincentivized to do so. Now, again, we're not here to discuss, pay-based, discrepancies and things like that. But I say all that to say I encountered a similar situation in 2015 when I was doing pen testing. I had been asked to pen test a credit collection company, right? One of these nondescript buildings, completely windowless buildings where you've got a call center worth of employees who make phone calls out to collect, discharged credit card debt from individuals. And in my pen test, part of it was a physical pen test. And I had gotten authorization from the company to pull about $2,000 worth of petty cash out of the company. And I took that $2,000 and a thumb drive that I had bad shit on, and I went to the smoke pit, and I had $2,000 of cash in my hand, and I offered employees in that smoke pit $2,000 in hard cash that I had on my hand to take the thumb drive inside and stick it in a computer. And they did. Like, I think we underestimate the value that people have in the reception of direct cash and what that means to them in that current situation that they're going through in life.
That moment. Yeah. I mean, they could have had a car repair, or they could have had, the furnace needs work, or the kids at home, they need more food than what they've got. Yeah. I mean, I get it. I understand. It's just, you would really like to, pull them aside, because what they're really losing in that moment is all of the rest of their career at that place. And even if they move on from that place, a good recommendation and everything else. I mean, in the short term, $2,000 cash seems like an infusion in cash to, something that you really might need. I'm not I know I said wow, but I guess I'm not sort of shocked. But yeah, it's probably going to continue to happen in our space.
I think what makes insider threat programs hard, and we encountered this from a psychological perspective at Abbott. What you're saying to the employee base is, I don't trust you. And you're basically reverting to surveillance of the employees, and you're having to monitor their behavior to make sure that they're not doing anything bad. So you're instilling a I don't trust you mentality to your employees by saying you're going to have an insider threat program.
See, I don't disagree with you, because I've heard of a lot of people say the company doesn't trust us as employees. And then I've also walked into other cultural environments that say, you know what? The company does trust us, but they are going to have an insider threat program, and they're going to do it because you may have a legitimate person that has gone rogue, or you might have their credentials compromised and they don't know it. And the company needs to know when, credentials are compromised, or some sort of 0-day has escalated into privilege escalation in the environment. And so I believe if you inform and message it the right way internally, this isn't about us not trusting people. This is about protecting the company that we all rely on to be here for a paycheck and healthcare and benefits and a livelihood, and to support our lives and then our customers. So I look at it that way. I mean, that's the way I explain it to people. It's not that we don't trust you, but we need to protect the company that we all rely on and our customers rely on.
I think that's the right answer. The challenge always becomes, in building the right company culture. I think it's safe to say, Chad, right? Insider threat is still very much alive. We still continue to see it, today, even though we don't talk about it or hear about it in the big news unless it makes a big splash like CrowdStrike does. But these ransomware groups are looking. This isn't the first time that ransomware groups have offered money to try to get on the inside. I remember reporting on this years ago, where there was a Tesla worker at a Tesla factory out west somewhere that had been offered some cash to be given a USB drive to go inside the Tesla warehouse to do this. And I think that we're going to continue to see this, because last week, Jason, Klopp Ransomware announced that they had compromised 29 new victims as part of a mass ransomware campaign. And we're not talking small fish, Chad. We're not talking small fish. Oracle confirmed it. They were on that list. Oracle got smashed.
Yep.
My alma mater, Abbott, got smashed. Mazda, Canon, Estee Lauder, Mazda North America, University of Phoenix, Broadcom, Michelin, like
Southern Illinois University.
I mean, 29 organizations in one fell swoop got smashed by Klopp.
And the thing is all of these people, when you look at this, a lot of these organizations have large cybersecurity budgets, are spending the money. And oh, by the way, if you did data correlation, you'd probably find out, right? If you went in and looked at their tech stack, you'd like, how did this happen? Because they have and own and have purchased and procured all of the major enterprise cybersecurity software and systems.
I will not throw Abbott's dirty laundry under the bus, but having spent my time there was 2016 to 2020, and I built a lot of that large tech stack. And when I left it there, I know the condition in which I left it there, and I have no idea what's happened since then. So I'm not in a position to comment on what condition it's in over the last 10 years. But I can unequivocally tell you, if it is anywhere remote to the way that I left it, you're right. They had a solid tech stack.
Yeah. And so when and by the way, this just continues. Like we could literally live stream for 2 hours today or more. To me, I was like thinking about, the amount of actual things have been going on that are worth talking about publicly here and debating these. But on November 17th, this happened last week, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the fallout of it is there were several 0 days that looked like the group exploited. Now there's a CVE attached to it, but in actuality, they use the 0 day to gain access to identity.
Yeah.
And then propagated their ransomware through that methodology. So the one thing that I want to continue to harp on here and just emphasize to everybody, it is still hugely important to protect identity and know when an identity is compromised.
And let's be clear, Jason, when you say identity, we're talking human identities, we're talking machine identities, like we're talking like if it has some form of authorization on your network, that's what 100%. We mean when we talk about identity.
100% service accounts.
Yeah.
Anything. If you are creating accounts and it has a username, password, and it has admin access, or even, we just keep finding out that standard user accounts that we thought that were standard user accounts could be escalated to privileges and then gain more privileges than they should have ever had.
But this isn't what you're describing, Jason, isn't new. Like that has been certified ethical hacker from EC Council for as much hot garbage as it is, has been the playbook since the 2000s.
Yeah. So and the reason why I'm saying this here and you're saying what you're saying is because this continues to be a thing where people are like, oh, well, that user just has standard user accounts and they rely on that statement. No, hang on a second. What if something bad happens that you don't foresee? So we need to watch all of the user accounts, all accounts inside the system. Doesn't matter who they are or what they are, if they're advanced, admin accounts or if they're standard user accounts, we need to treat them equal. Like they need the same level of protection.
So let me ask you this. And I'm not going to go down the cynical route of picking on tools, but I was doing some reading over the weekend, just as part of my standard reading process, and there's some new innovations that are happening. I won't really call them innovations, but there's some new tactics that are happening around canary tokens and honeypots that I was reading about over the weekend. I asked you this a couple weeks ago, and we didn't really finish this conversation, so I'll force you into it here on stream. What's your thoughts on canary tokens and honeypots, specifically as we talk about identity accounts?
So I think there's usefulness to them. I do think that there's usefulness to them. The honeypots scenarios, like we have seen, I wouldn't say that they have been like the heavy hitter in environments for us. I think that anybody that is, I think I made this statement to you, but anybody that is sort of worth their weight in gold in hacking and who is a threat hacker probably knows when they have gotten entangled with a honeypot. And so, they may have said, okay, I just got tangled up in a honeypot. I know what this is, looks like, acts like, smells like, and I need to just sort of back out and get out of that environment. But are they going to use the exact same tactics at the next environment? Probably not, because they know that those ones are now torched. But I think that we should have them and use them. But I just don't feel like we should create an over-reliance on them, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. I think the only counter that I would make to this is I'm starting to develop a thesis that as we increase the attack surface, especially as we talk about these identity-based attacks, there is no feasible way that when you talk about, like, oh, well, we just have to monitor every single solitary user account. That is challenging at most organizations, if not nigh impossible at other organizations. And I oftentimes wonder if instead of monitoring every single solitary user account, there isn't an opportunity or a strategy to leverage something like honeypots or canary tokens that allow us leading indicators for high sensitive type of accounts, admin type of accounts, API based accounts, service accounts, things like that, that we can get ahead of monitoring every single solitary user account. Because if you were to come to me as my SOC director and say, authentication attacks are up, we have to monitor every single one of those, all I hear is more data ingest, more signals, more alerts, more false positives, longer time to respond, longer time to detect. And that scares me because now we're widening the gap in being able to protect against those types of attacks.
Yeah. I didn't hear AI come out of your mouth in that statement. Isn't AI going to help you, increase the efficiencies of all the stuff that you just said?
I think that goes to speak just how pragmatic I am about AI. I would rely on you, Mr. SOC Director, to tell me that you've got an AI solution that can solve this problem for me.
Amen, and I do.
I take it you want to talk about that return of investment in AI paper that I sent you over the weekend.
Oh man, I think it's worthwhile.
I'm gonna drop this into a chat. This is one I sent to Jason for you guys to check out as well. Beard can decide if he wants to stick that in one of the repos. So Google now, and again, we are fine prefacing this. This was dropped by the data and analytics director, the CEO of Google Cloud. I didn't mean the data analytics director, but the CEO of Google Cloud. I'm looking for his name right here. Right there. Francis D'Souza, Chief Operating Officer, Google Cloud. So it was dropped by the Google Cloud organization, but it is titled The ROI of AI and Security. So we'll acknowledge, Jason and I absolutely acknowledge that this may have a certain spin on it because it comes from Google. But that doesn't mean that it is still intelligence that everybody can digest and get something interesting out of.
Yeah, and a couple things that I got out of this, and I hope you guys are enjoying kind of like these documents, coming to you. But when you sort of read these and look at these, the thing that I like to do is to sort of dissect, each of the paragraphs and what is being said. Yes, you're going to read in here, there's the marketing pieces and sort of the bent towards Google. But if you look at where the industry AI use cases are having their moment, where they're shining and where they are actually helping, it truly is in some great areas. That's exciting. I don't know about you guys, but I like to use AI where the mundane tasks, I'm sure everybody, unless I'm on this island by myself, but there are certain tasks throughout the week that it's like, oh my gosh, I don't like that task. And it's not cut out for me. And so I wait and then comes the end of the week and the task still has to get done. And it's typically, when you look at these, like, customer service and experience and some of the SecOps and cybersecurity, the tech support, there's a lot of great AI and orchestration tooling now that can help automate your tech support and not making your customers feel like they're getting answered by an AI, but that can help remove clicks and steps and, work towards resolution. I mean, so when you just look at that and you look at this report and start to see where it's getting adopted and how useful it's being, and then obviously I think is still a major concern. And I like that this is showcasing even throughout the survey is that many executives at companies are still saying data security and that privacy is still a major concern with AI usage, which is good. Like, people are like, hey, what is this going to do to me if I move so fast and so close to AI? What's going to happen?
And I think that so I want to piggyback on what you said, and we see and Sonic brings up a valid point. This is why we always preface this, right? This report is not meant for the betterment of the community. This report is meant for Google to appear to be an agentic leader. They have handpicked people that they want to interview and that they've
100%.
asked questions. So we're not disputing that whatsoever. But again, when we're trying to dissect noise from signal in our space, reports, we have to at least acknowledge that data exists. And I do want to share with you the key insights, just in case you're not looking at that report right now, that I think are worth mentioning. Of the people surveyed in this report, 46% of them now view AI agents as a core security tool. And that 67% of agentic AI early adopters have seen a positive impact to their organization. Now, you could believe this data or not, you could talk about it being slanted or not, but for the uninformed, uneducated, the people who are not here on Cyber Insecurity listening to Jason and I give a pragmatic view on our take of things, this report hits the LinkedIn's, gets 3,000 likes and 4 bajillionty overshares by people who are too dumb to tune into other people, to streams and to listen. Sorry. Little tangenty there. Yep. They're going to see this report and they're going to be like, I need to be putting AI in my SOC because Google said so.
And that's where I believe we're having this healthy, read it, but also take it into perspective, understand who it's coming from, where it's coming from. And I think that's a healthy, you have to have healthy cynicism, right?
Yes. Yeah. And again, we should all be embracing the data. More data in the field helps us understand the threat landscape, whether it's the corporate threat or the cyber threat. So there is data in here that I think everybody should consume.
When you look at the agentic AI use cases in action, I mean, again, your marketing and in SecOps, I want to bring this up, and this is sort of what I have been reading about and actually hearing from some folks. A lot of MSPs, and if you look at just take the last 5 years of a sample set, okay? One thing that I feel like people are absolutely saying now is that we are cybersecurity first, and we are IT ops second.
In the MSP space, this is what they're saying.
MSP space. I've even, when you talk, we have several clients that have thousands of employees, right? So we're talking, I'd still consider that mid-market, to getting close to enterprise, but what we're hearing is that we have to have a cybersecurity first agenda and then have an IT ops agenda.
That's interesting because in enterprise, most of my experience between PwC, Abbott, Mondelez, et cetera, has been at the enterprise level. And IT ops has been in those organizations far longer than cybersecurity has in most cases. And so IT ops feels very threatened and very, very domain guided that their stuff must come first.
Oh yeah, no doubt that they feel, dominant in the space. They feel threatened, all of that. But the reality is that I am seeing a shift in people saying we have to do cybersecurity really, really good. Otherwise, think back 10 years ago, IT people were saying, hey, we need, the leaders in the organizations of the company were saying, hey, we need you to start spending a little bit of time at looking at this cybersecurity thing over here. And because, it's happening and it's real and it's not, Russians all the time. It's everybody.
Sometimes it's insider threat.
Sometimes it's insider threat, but 10 years ago, that was the case. It was like, hey, spend 5-10% of your time. Now, I think we're flipped. The reason why I say this is because you look at any MSP in the marketplace, and they don't start and lead their conversations with, we do really, really good with IT ops. They say, we're a cybersecurity first company, and we also help you with the break fix and the updates and on.
I'm cynical on that, right? I'm cynical on that, especially in the the SMB to mid-market space, because I feel like cybersecurity gets more noise, right? Like the insurance companies in the SMB and the mid-market are like, hey, you don't want to have a cyber incident because it'll cost you $10 million and your company will go bankrupt, right? Type of thing to have a cybersecurity incident. And so MSPs need a hook. And I feel like cyber is a much more attractive hook in this space than IT ops is.
It's way better. It's way sexier than, hey, we help you with
we fix your printer. We fix your printer.
But it's just fascinating to me in the last 5 years how everybody now I see all these MSPs in the space, large and small, right? They used to talk about all of their IT operational capabilities, their certifications, and all the stuff that they did, and now they are putting out cybersecurity, posts more than they put out an IT operational post. They want to look like, act like, smell like more cybersecurity focused than they do on the IT ops side.
Was there an AI tangent there to that? I feel like you were going towards the remediation side, how that report had talked about some of the automated remediation. Was there like a tangent there that you had for that, or did you get down a rabbit hole?
No, I this is connected. I'm sorry for taking so long to get here, but the funny thing is they all of these MSPs in the space are just stating like, well, we are subject matter experts and we have these automatic remediations. We have these things, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Just 2 or 3 years ago, you weren't talking about cybersecurity at all, and now all that's coming out of your mouth in a marketing pitch is cybersecurity. And how overnight did you become subject matter experts? Did you hire a whole bunch of new people to your team? And then
they read some blogs. They read some blogs, Jason. They tuned into some of our streams.
They tuned into some of our streams. They read some blogs. One thing that I'm coming back to this. This is a long train ride.
I hope everybody's enjoying the view.
Yeah, that you can go and consume these tools, but what I would highly recommend is that what this tool is going to do really, really well, because there's a lot of tools in the marketplace that are not worth their weight in gold. We look at them all the time, and there is a lot of hype right now.
Oh yeah,
and coming back to this document, it's like, well, wait a minute. If we're in year 1 or year 2, right, of an AI hype cycle, and at some point, and I still believe we're in the very early stages.
I
actually think that we're in the single-digit stages of what we as humans have thought about that AI can help with this.
Brian, that means that you're going to be listening to AI forever.
But when you look at this, this report slants it as if in some cases we're 40 to 50% already achieved.
I actually heard that statement from somebody I shared this report with over the weekend, where they immediately thought that their company was behind after reading this report.
Yeah. And I just want, so anybody that reads through this and you're hearing us talk about this, I would not feel that way.
There's a couple of questions about this in chat that I want to push up on screen, but I want to say one thing, because we talk about reading this report with a slant, understanding the slant. To Jason's point, this report is meant to discourage new entrants to the AI space. It's meant to make you feel like you're behind, so that you're like, fuck it. Sorry for those on Jason's LinkedIn page. Sorry about that. Right? Screw it. We're behind. We should just go buy Google's AI agents. We should just go buy Microsoft's AI agents, whatever the cases are, right? I want to pick on something that I saw in this report that I think is worth talking about. And you said it. I thought you were going to go down there, and it was with the remediation side of it. This report, for it being slanted, for them to have cherry-picked the audience, for them to have picked on certain CEOs and CISOs to ask this question, almost equivocally, it was agreed that at no point in time do they think AI is ready to take automatic remediation.
Yeah. Well, and we hear it. There's a lot of people in the space. They're afraid of the hallucination, and they're afraid of the AI remediation agents just going nuts in their environment.
Yeah.
And what I would tell people is obviously with us that have built like intellectual property, and we have code that we don't want to showcase to people because we don't want to lose control of our intellectual property. Like, you wouldn't go to Coca-Cola and get the recipe and say, hey, prove it to me that there's nothing bad in here for me. But, drink it for another 30 years and figure it out. But anyhow, you have to look at these tools and say, there is, like, I know how we're building our tooling. Our tooling is very, very laser focused. It is trying to do one thing at a time, and we are keeping the guardrails on it. And what I mean trying to do one thing at a time is sometimes there is a good use case for it to do A and B. But in a lot of cases, you want to build your AI agentic bots in such a way that it only does one thing, and you can keep it in sort of a container, if you will. And it doesn't go nuts in your environment. But I think that since there is such this glaze, right, you've got companies out in the space making just lofty statements. It's hard to completely understand what the product is going to do and what it isn't going to do, and that's the biggest fear, I think.
But I think the thing that I took away from the auto remediation conversation is we're right back to the SOAR conversation that we were 10 years ago, right? Everybody thought SOAR was going to be amazing because they were like, hey, I can now automate end-to-end a phishing investigation. I got caught up in this. I ran decks after decks after decks to management trying to get me authorization to buy a SOAR product because I legitimately thought that I could automate end-to-end in an enterprise a phishing investigation. I had three people whose full-time job was to manage all the phishing incidents that we had. And all I could see was if there was a way that I could reallocate those three people to go do threat hunting or to go do, incident response or something like that, then that's what I wanted to do. And we got the budget approved for SOAR. We implemented SOAR. And then the first time we did a remediation, and I'll never forget this, we had a legitimate phishing attack on the CEO. His credentials had been compromised. Somebody was actively trying to log into his email account, and we automatically locked down the account and reset the password as part of our phishing playbook. And the amount of shit that I caught for that.
Don't ever stop cybersecurity attacks on the company, Neal.
It doesn't matter. Don't you dare reset the CEO's password automatically without telling him and 15 of his deputies because you think his account's about to be hacked into.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I think that people got to get their pride out of the way. They have to get their role out of the way. At some level, we're all here contributing to the same company. And whether you're the CEO, CIO, or you have a different role and title, in the cybersecurity space, it's all the same. We need to stop the attack. And I don't care who you are, what you look like, we just need to stop the attack.
It was pretty rough. So I think we're still, to Jason's point, we're still early. And I think that remediation element in there, I think that's the one that's going to continue to be the thorn in our side as to seeing adoption in that space. Jason, this one's for you. You mentioned some of the MSP stuff. A Curse Honor says, is it just marketing? The MSPs are not putting all of the effort to security because they know the customer doesn't really care or knows about the subject. It was back to your comment about marketing, though. Is it just marketing, or do you think that customers just actually don't care about security? I think it is marketing. I
I've heard, and I'm not, if you're an MSP out there listening to this, please don't take this. I'm not bashing
I
MSPs.
I will if Jason doesn't. Don't worry about it.
You take it, Neal. But what I would say is have this, you need to strike this balance. If you're talking about cybersecurity, you can't auto-generate all your content. And the one thing that I would straight encourage is authentic content. One of the major areas that we strive for is offering up authentic content, like showcasing real life scenarios that really happened, that people can understand, and not talk about, the tea leaves all the time, and so when MSPs, I have just seen a ton of MSPs start talking about cybersecurity first and foremost from their marketing perspective, but then they don't give way to the rest of their subject matter experts, like they've spent 30 years in, doing X, Y, and Z. Well, I heard from straight out of MSP's mouth that, well, if we don't have some sort of cybersecurity focus, customers won't think that we are caring about their security. And it's like, well, you can still showcase that you care about their cybersecurity, but have a balance. It's just important to showcase what you're really a subject matter at. Otherwise, I feel like over the last 5 years, everybody has just become cybersecurity people. And where is the IT ops? We still need to be an operational company.
But wouldn't you say that that's just marketing 101, Jason? I mean, look at this shit that we're dealing with, the AI stuff, right? Everybody now has agentic AI in their product. Everybody is going to their board of directors and having to answer the question, are you using AI? Do you have AI? People who are raising money in the VC space, if you don't have AI as a capability, are you even raising money, in this space? And I can almost, to the point that Fraser makes here on screen, those people are claiming to have AI capabilities and probably do not have personnel on staff that are trained or competent in AI. So how is that any different than what we're seeing in the space right now around AI?
Yeah, it's spot on. I always tell people all the time, we have looked at multiple products, and AI inside of the product should not, that definition should not just be a chatbot that has been plugged in to the product. Because here's your thinking. If I say, oh, there's AI in product such and such, and then product such and such has a focus, user behavior analytics, or IAM protection, or a web browser plugin, right? You would think that it is a subject matter expert. The AI is a subject matter expert at what that software package does. And this is what's happening in space, is you're right. Everybody is running to the bank with, oh, we are doing the latest, greatest, you fill in the blank, which is AI right now.
Yeah.
And the problem is it's a chatbot, or it's a small, very small sliver of the product that's actually enabled with AI. Because here's the problem, and you're very well aware of this, Neal, that, and you cannot, it is very inefficient to go and stick the AI inside of the whole entire product and have it be effective.
Oh, yeah.
It won't be effective. That's where the product will fail, and customers will go try it out and say, this is garbage, absolute garbage. Why are you even pushing this out? Why did you charge me for this? Why am I thinking that I'm paying for this when it's not even what you close to told me it was supposed to do? And so we're in this spot at the moment where people are buying and they are not doing their proper due diligence. So
I'm saving. I've got a layup for you here, because I'm gonna bring this back around to kind of how we started the stream chat. I know we got on a little AI tangent, but we started this conversation with Insider Threat and with CrowdStrike, right? And what I think is either the biggest sign of failure on CrowdStrike's part, or possibly the biggest miss in marketing, which I refuse to believe, because they literally spend 60% of their budget on sales and marketing.
Yeah.
is that nobody has talked about how they actually caught this. And CrowdStrike touts that they have the best AI in the space, that they stop breaches. That is all over their tagline. We stop breaches. Where's the AI that helps stop this breach?
It is, it is part of marketing's job is always to showcase what you want people to pay attention to. Put it in bigger lettering, bolder lettering, underline it, emphasize it, italicize it. But then over here, people aren't asking the question to themselves, what is this not saying?
Yeah.
And that is the biggest thing you should be asking yourself is, I would strongly advise you, whether you were looking at the BitLift software, or you're looking at CrowdStrike, or you're looking at Rapid7, or you're looking at Red Canary, or you're looking at Zscaler, or anybody out in the space, you need to ask, where is the AI and where is it not? And you need to press people, the salesperson, the sales engineer, blah, blah, blah. You need to press them on the details, because the devil is in these details.
Absolutely.
This is a major problem. And you're spot on. You're spot on with your statement is so far, these breaches have not been detected with AI. Otherwise,
Absolutely.
they would state it.
They'd be on top of Mount Sinai with plaques calling down the fire and brimstone everywhere.
Everywhere. Now, it comes back to, let's talk about where AI is actually useful. There's a couple parts in that document that you shared out with everybody that I think are true. Now, are they full sweeping? It does the whole position? No. But can it help? Can it help facilitate? Can it help optimize? Can it help create some efficiencies? Can it help reduce some workload? Yes. And so, boy, I didn't even get to most of my material there.
What do you got? Hit the 3 pointers? I mean, hit the 3 pointers. What you got?
Out of all of this, one of the stats that I wanted to talk about today is the 0 days this year in 2025.
More 0 days? More 0 days?
We alluded to this, but 0 days are up 30% let me say it this way. They are of 30% of the total cybersecurity attacks so far this year.
That's a lot compared to previous years. Yeah.
It is up big time. And so what I'm trying to set the stage for here is monitoring your environments and being able to understand your IAM and understand your access, your controls across the environment, and detect behavioral differences in the environment is super important. Now, if you go out into the marketplace and you start looking at behavioral detections are super. There are great products in the space. BitLift might be one of them, but I'm not here to talk about BitLift today. I want you to understand that there is both AI and non-AI behavioral detection methods that are still good, right?
There's a question from chat that's asking, do you think it's poor products or more advanced tactics that's leading to more 0 days?
I think it's more advanced tactics.
You think so?
I do think that people push software very fast these days. And so you can get people that are overlooking, but now there's tooling like AI tooling for this that helps with making sure that your software has less, I was going to say less poorness. But you need to test the software before you ship it, and you can run more tests against it. But at the same token, I feel like the advanced tactics are really as much as I read, I think are really increasing.
I'm always cynical of advanced tactics. Like I used to think advanced meant advanced when I first came out of the Air Force, when I was exposed to like real advanced at the NSA, or even when I saw just how not advanced was at the NSA. I think if we were to look at the rate, I think you alluded to it. If we were to look at the rate in which software was created versus vulnerabilities found, I would say that we're seeing the same proportionality of software creation and vulnerabilities found that we saw 10 years ago. But because we have 10x the amount of software that's generated, because we have 10x the amount of open source repos that are being used, because of those reasons, I think it's the same proportionality of software creation to tactics. I don't think it's an advancement of tactics. I don't think it's poor products. I think that we're seeing a volume issue more on both sides.
Yeah. I could see that. I mean, like I said, software is shipping so fast these days. And you know, we are frustrated with people. Like, I think we have caused a little bit of our own problem, right? The Amazon delivery, why doesn't it get to my house today? I want today.
The software development equivalency of that.
The software development equivalency and deliverability, and fixing a bug or adding a feature. Well, let's skip the testing. Let's skip all of the QA and just ship it, right? And we've got to do this. Well, the problem is we've created this problem.
Yeah.
And who's going to look at themselves in the face and say, I actually created this problem?
Developers, obviously. CrowdStrike. George Kurtz is definitely, as he's looking in the mirror of his F1 Mercedes, right, is going to say, I created this problem.
Yeah. Not. They're cruising around on their yachts, having martinis, and it's for all the rest of us to deal with.
I'm cynical on the definition of advanced. Like, chat, like, you've heard me say this before.
It's an ambiguous term.
I do not think that there is anything advanced about 99.9% of the hacks that happen out there at all, by any stretch of the imagination.
Somebody just sat down and whiteboarded this attack method.
Yeah.
That's all they did.
Yeah. And phishing is still hands down the person is still the weakest link. And I'm not here to say, like, this isn't a bashing on people conversation. This isn't, that humans are the problem. But so long as there is a human in the loop with any decision-making process, there is an opportunity to manipulate that human.
Yeah. I mean, we all have flaws, and you can either fess up to your flaws and move on, or just try and bury them. I would be on the side of fessing up to your flaws and know where your boundaries are at.
Yeah.
And this comes back to, like, okay, if you're a person that moves fast and or your team members move fast, like, I actually know people, I've watched them, I've shoulder surfed, and you watch people, how quick they cruise around and click on things, and I'll stop them and I'll say, did you read that?
Yeah, absolutely.
What did it say? Yeah, you didn't read that. and the problem, well, I got a lot to do. I got a lot to do today. I got to keep moving. It was like they had like 4 Red Bulls.
But I couldn't get my job done until I accepted the T's and C's.
Right. Well, that caused the problem. And you're right. Like, I am astonished at how we are still talking about phishing, and the sheer successfulness of phishing. Now, I'll give it to them that some of the phishing that I have seen is pretty good.
Yeah,
I would say, but it's also relatively easy to go steal logos and colors and draw up an email phishing campaign and have it work.
Yeah.
So
it's always been easy. It's never been hard.
Yeah. So the likelihood, like this whole word advanced, I too am kind of like, well, was talking about this with another colleague 2 weeks ago around, the emphasis on firewalls, right? And it's like, I have appreciation of firewall. You have to have it in your stack. It's not like we can go and like remove the firewall from the stack.
I dare you to be the CEO that says I disbelieve in firewalls, therefore I'm removing all firewalls from my infrastructure.
Not happening. Not happening.
Let me see. I want to meet that CEO.
Yeah. But here we don't put this over reliance on it. I hate to say this, but it is security in layers. We need the firewall for its job function.
Yeah.
But it's when a cyber attack comes from another angle or a different avenue that the firewall was never designed to protect us from. We can't blame it on the firewall, or we can't blame it on an EDR. We had, and this conversation was in regards to, you need firewalls, you need EDR, you need email security. And oh, by the way, you need to turn on MFA, and you need to go out into Google or the Microsoft, and you need to turn on all of these feature functions. And they said, well, where does it end?
Yeah.
And I said, it doesn't. It doesn't end.
I hate that answer.
You might hate the answer, but reality, you might be frustrated with reality.
Well, here's the reason why I hate that answer. And I'll pick on one particular technology. I'll pick on a couple pieces of technology. And I know you've got to go here in a little bit, and I know we're over time a little bit. So we'll make this one last rant then, if we can stop one last rant. We have a tendency in this industry to rebrand technologies because they didn't get enough traction the first time around. XDR is a perfect example of this. CTEM, Cyber Threat Exposure Management, another example of that, right? XDR is nothing more than making sure your endpoint telemetry gets correlated in your SIM. CTEM, Cyber Threat Exposure Management, is nothing but vulnerability management. So it has to end, because if you say it never ends, you're agreeing that the marketing team is driving cybersecurity strategy.
Yeah. This was somebody out in my non-favorite land, LinkedIn. Non-favorite. I don't hang out on LinkedIn. I actually despise LinkedIn because it's turned into nothing but a marketing pool. You go and you're like, hey, do you know so-and-so? I see that you're connected with them. And you're like, yeah, the other 5 or 10,000 people I'm connected with, and I know nothing about them, but I'm connected with them. Okay. Anyhow, the funny thing is I seen this, cybersecurity company out in the space was saying that they are SIM plus SOC plus SOAR plus XDR. I'm like, you're confused. You are absolutely confused. Like, we have not only have we moved on, but you're using like 4 things. So you're telling me that you're a subject matter expert at all 4 of those things? Because I know sole companies that are a complete SIM or a complete SOC, and it takes all of their effort and their energy to be a subject matter expert at that thing, and they still have failures and shortcomings.
Yeah.
And so if you see one of these companies out there in the space that says, oh yeah, we're a subject matter expert at SIM, SOC, SOAR, XDR, EDR, blah, 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 you fill in the blank, you're like, how do you accomplish all that? I'd like to know. I'd like to know how you accomplish all that.
Which is why I push back on your statement that like there has to be an end, right? There has to be an end, because if we just continue to say, and this isn't to say that like you're going to get to some 100% closure on cyber attacks. You'll never get there. But there has to be an end to the technology game. The technology game is not the solution to stopping cyber attacks.
Well, I know we got to go.
Yes.
But what you are saying though here is that these products are coming out in the space because we continuously find gaps in the security stack. Point was, CrowdStrike wasn't looking at their code reviews and their supply chain of their code.
Yep.
So inherent, right? You look around at the space. Oh my gosh, there's one, maybe two people kind of sort of going after this in the cybersecurity space and offering a product that helps you do. That is why, like literally, 7 or 10 days later, Microsoft comes out and says, "Oh, Copilot for GitHub. We have saved now Copilot for GitHub. It scrubs and looks across all of your code and offers up blah, 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 blah." And we're like, okay, so what we have to do is we have to keep going to these companies and saying, hey, you have a gap over here, 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 and the gaps are going to keep coming.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah. That's not an unfair statement. The gap, as we innovate, the gaps will continue to increase.
Yeah.
Okay. I know we're over time. I apologize to every single viewer who just got smashed with a Twitch ad. We ran over a little bit, and I'm terribly, terribly, terribly sorry. Outcast sending us off, Jason, with "wouldn't be Monday without the Microsoft hate." Longtime viewer enough to know that if we didn't pick on Microsoft today, it wouldn't be a Monday stream.
I spared everybody the Microsoft vulnerabilities, 0 days, and they're scrambling this week. I'll leave it for next week.
Leave it for next week. Speaking of next week, Jason, I hope you and your family, and I hope everybody on the BitLift team has an amazing short week. No incidents. Yeah. Fingers crossed as we roll into Thanksgiving, and I hope you guys have a freaking awesome holiday.
You too as well, and to all of our listeners, watchers, and hangouters, happy Thanksgiving to you guys. Hope you have an awesome time with friends and family, and it's safe, and look forward to seeing you back. And same to you, Neal. Make sure that you have a safe time, travel, maybe go to your favorite spot, and eat some turkey.
Eat some turkey. All right. We'll see y'all next week. Have a good one.
Take care.